holidays, everyone. That's my life right now. The other thing I'm dealing with right now is that my allergies are really crazy. Back in the Midwest, where I'm from, it's more or less already winter. So when I fled here to the West Coast, as soon as I got off the plane, my allergies went crazy. I have a lot of different types of allergies, but my seasonal allergies are by far the worst, right? And that is hard on you, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally, you know? Because when you're allergic to the planet that you live on, you have to admit to yourself on some level that God hates you, right? Like every time my eyes are red and itchy and I can barely breathe, I just hear the voice of God in my head. I made you weak on purpose. I'm slowly murdering you with flowers and itty-bitty kitty cats. And something in the butter chicken from your favorite Indian restaurant. But not every time when you order, just some of the times. Because you'll never know when or why. You're gonna have these self-deprecating jokes are okay, ma'am. You're so empathetic, you're like, oh, this poor man. You're gonna have to laugh with me. I've lived through all of these things. I'm here to, it's gonna get real dark at the end. You're gonna have to really lighten up. I know, she's just being very empathetic.
They don't know it's comedy yet.
Oh, this is all comedy. I started already, everybody. These are all the jokes. Do you think this is still the intro? No, I'm an autobiographical comedian, everybody. I'm sorry, let me start over. Knock, knock.
This is the nicest group you've ever
You
played
guys,
together.
yeah, exactly. You're going to have to get a little mean. Be a little mean inside and laugh at these jokes, everybody. It is Halloween. I love Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday because I grew up very poor in rural Kentucky in a trailer park. And Halloween is by far the best holiday if you're poor, right? For two reasons. Reason number one, Halloween is the only day of the year where a child can escape their circumstances through the power of their imagination, and everybody plays along. That's very empowering for a child. And reason number two, Halloween is the only holiday where it does not matter how much money your family has. As long as you know where the families with money live, that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
Walk your little broke ass 2 miles into their neighborhood, Halloween's amazing, right? You don't even need a fancy store-bought costume either. Use that imagination I was talking about. My brother and I, 3 years in a row, we went as the same costume 3 years in a row. What we did is we took some black garbage bags, we cut them open along the seams, laid them out, took some black tape, taped them back together to make one large container that we got inside of, with our legs and our arms, our heads sticking out, and we went dressed as two kids being eaten by the blob. Help us, help us, help us, right? Pretty adorable, right? Pretty clever. We go up to those rich people's houses, ding dong, trick or treat. They give us that good name brand candy. Not once did they ever ask us what we're supposed to be. Because I already knew. They're like, oh, it's poor white trash. All right. It's already backed up and ready to go to the curb, you guys. I wrote that joke a couple years ago when I was at my mom's house looking for something, and I found a photograph of my brother and I in a garbage bag. A memory that I'd suppressed until that moment. And that most people laugh at. You guys are really got to lighten up, everybody. Most of my jokes are, oh, good, there's, hello, come on in, hey.
Late, but we're still here.
No, come on in. Oh, I know, we forgot to do the whippets before my set. I'm sorry, everybody, let's, okay.
Did you say whippet?
Yes, of course Nigel knows what I'm talking about. All right. It's a drug, it makes you gay. You guys don't need to know about it. Okay. This is going to be interesting. We'll switch gears a little bit. I do have this crazy beard. My beard has come in very big and bushy, and it's cause for a lot of attention. Pretty much every single day, a complete stranger will compliment me on my beard. And when they do, I thank them, because my mom raised me right. But as I'm thanking them, I'm also thinking to myself, like, I got to shave this thing off, right? That is way too much stranger interaction in my week, 7 times a week. That also lets you know how my self-esteem is, though. It's a little low. I'm like, daily compliments, no thank you. Uncomfortable. I knew that wasn't going to work. You guys are too empathetic. You guys have to not like me a little bit for this to work, I think. My beard did come in all white because of the last 2 years of America, I think. Right? Yeah, it's been a little stressful. I am a very progressive lefty liberal, but I do have to give Donald Trump credit where credit is due. You have to admit he is utterly unique as an American leader. We've never had a president remotely like Donald Trump. I think one of the ways that'll be most evident is on his last day in office. Because I always do that thing where they put the picture of the president on his last day, side by side next to the picture of the president on his first day, to show how much of the 4 years of the presidency's aged him. I don't think that's going to happen for Donald, right? Like, the reverse is going to be true. He's going to be fine, but we're going to look like shit. Guys, he's been president for 2 years. I'm 17 years old. This time next year, I'm probably just going to be a talking skeleton, right? What's the deal with airplane food? Clack, 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 something like that. Dating's hard as a skeleton, you know? I know it's very juvenile, but my favorite thing from the Trump presidency is the story that will not go away for him. It's a story that claims when he was in Russia, he paid 2 prostitutes to urinate on him. I know it's very lowbrow, but I love it, right? And when that story broke, all of my friends that are mostly comedians on social media were all running to make the exact same joke on Facebook, right? That story breaks, and they're all rushing to the keyboards to type, oh, even Donald's showers have to be golden, blah, 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 right? I just see that joke over and over again on social media. But then when I start to see some of my more liberal friends weighing in on this story, when they're posting things like, hey, we do not support him as our incoming president, but if this is actually true, if this is his sexual fetish, we should not shame him for this. What people do in the bedroom is their business. My first thought when I read that was to agree with it. And then my second thought was, oh shit, now I know which my friends like to get peed on. Like they pulled a hard 180 on their Donald stance all of a sudden. He's the worst. We hate that guy. Why are we talking about this, guys? Let's move on. It has been a very odd 2 years, particularly for me. I'm from Indiana. Mike Pence was our governor before he became our vice president. He's widely regarded to be one of the worst governors we ever had. He destroyed our public education system, caused an AIDS outbreak by defunding the Planned Parenthood in our state. So across the board, he was not very well liked. So it was an interesting moment when Trump named him as his running partner, he had to step down effectively as governor. So across the state, we're like, yay! And then November 8th, we're like, oh, fuck. Clearly, we did not think that wish all the way through, right? Damn you, monkey paw, you know, that kind of scenario. So you guys are not Stephen King fans. All right, that's good. Trying all the different things. I wish I had more Yurt jokes. I should have prepared for this gig. No. Let's talk about this. I live in a college town. I live in Bloomington, Indiana now. It's a Big Ten college town. So it's a very weird place, right? Because it's a very liberal town inside a very conservative state. So our farmers market is amazing, right? Because we're like hippies and hipsters, and they're interesting, and then we've got some rural people. It's a good mix. And I love going to our farmers market. I went to the very last market of the season. And while I was there, I bought a lemonade. And after I bought the lemonade, I realized that they were marketing it as fair trade lemonade. Yeah, does that mean all the other lemonade I've ever had in my life has been conflict lemonade? Made from blood lemons, I guess? I don't know, right? It made me re-examine all of my interactions at the farmer's market, and I realized I always shop from this one man, and I do not know why, because he hates me. He's this old Amish man. He hates my tattoos. He hates the fact I don't control the way my wife dresses in public. He thinks our interracial relationship is a sin. But he's got that corn I like, so he and I are going to look the other way for 30 seconds to get this deal done. Go on with our hypocritical lies. That joke's called capitalism, everybody. That's the name of that one. Thank you, Chris. Chris loves it. Chris has been to Bloomington. He knows how accurate these jokes are. My favorite person at the market is this woman. I love her so much. She's got a stall 5 stalls down from that Amish man, and she's a very militant vegan. She's very hardcore about it. She very loudly proclaims that anyone who eats meat is a blood mouth. A blood mouth. Look, if you don't want me to do something, don't make it sound like the coolest thing ever, right? Blood mouth? I've been part of this badass gang my whole life. Are you kidding me? I'm rolling next to him with my blood mouth leather jacket. Let's do this, girl. Come on. Represent. I'm getting you guys warmed up. All right, good. I am very simple. When I go to the farmer's market, this is the last farmer's market joke, guys, don't worry. My wife was like, are you writing an hour on the farmer's market? And I was like, I'll keep it to 4 jokes, you're right. I am very simple. When I go to that market, I really only want 2 things. I want the food to be free-range organic, and the children to be leashed and sedated. That's what I would like. Oh, you got these feral market kids here too? Yeah. Like, oh, God, yeah, all hopped up on locally sourced organic honey. Get out of my face, man. And I get it's not that kid's fault, right? That little white kid with dreadlocks, that's not his fault. He did not ask me named Echo Moonbeam or whatever. I know that, right? But they're reenacting Lord of the Flies. I don't even have my coffee yet. Man, it's too much. There's a very knowing nod in the back. So, yeah. Oh, man. Yep. It is a very liberal town, like I said, Bloomington. In fact, we're so liberal, we don't even have firefighters. We have fire mediators. Because you can't just fight the fire, you have to understand the fire's viewpoint first, you know. Come to a peaceful resolution. It's fair, but a lot of people have died, so I'm glad that you guys like. That's my favorite joke I've ever written. Because it's so silly up top, but there's still death at the end. It's everything I love in comedy in one joke. Oh, man. We had a lot of hippies there, like I said, and because of that, we have this brand new age spa that opened in downtown Bloomington on the square, and it offers things like chakra alignments, karmic cleanses, right? One of the things that they offer, and I'm not making this up, is vaginal steaming. Yeah. I don't know if it's like a last-ditch effort to keep the Republican Party out of there or something, right? We heard they hate humidity. Fog it up, girls. Resist. We'll see how the second part goes. But sure, steamed vagina sounds healthy. This is Indiana. We're still going to dip into ranch dressing. It's just what we're going to do, you guys. That was too far? Okay. So I write my pussy jokes, some liberal bullshit, something super lowbrow, something for everybody to hate. That's how I do comedy. It is a bubble, though. It's very much a bubble, Bloomington. You forget that it's Bloomington and the comma and the word Indiana. And that comma is our city limits, right? The minute you drive out of town, you're like, ooh, Indiana again, right? And I'll give you a good example. About 25 minutes outside of town, there is a gun store that has worked the Jesus fish into their gun shop logo. Like their gun store logo is like the Jesus fish and a handgun, right? And I get, that could almost be the state flag of Indiana. I get that, right? It's a pretty good runner-up. But that is crazy to me, right? You can be into guns and you can be a Christian, but you have to admit that's two different parts of your personality, right? Because clearly the number one thing that Jesus is going to be against when he comes back are guns. I take it back. Number one, probably still going to be nails. Probably still going to be nails. Oh, did you guys not read the end of the book? He holds a grudge, you guys, yeah. So clearly, I take it back. Number one, clearly nail guns. He's going to be super pissed about those guys. We're getting you. We're getting you worked out.
Sacrilege.
Sacrilege. I know. I was like, oh, I hope that the yurt with the pentagram and all. It's like, hope that they go for this. Yeah. Oh man. It just does. I do love this. This is such a cool vibe, and it's great to like form in all these different sort of scenarios. And I do. You know, you guys know that there's such a thing as like the log cabin Republicans. I think we need to start the yurt. Libertarian? I'm just guessing. What do you guys? Democrat, libertarian? We'll make up our own thing, guys. That'll be fine. Yeah. I'm a married man, as I mentioned earlier. Not only that, I'm actually on my second marriage. Not trying to brag. Pretty good at it. I know we have a very small crowd. Any of you ever been married more than twice, like 3 or 4 times? Oh, that was very sly. Does that mean you're also looking for a new one? You're like, I've been around. No, have you been married more than twice? Yeah. Are you going to tell me how many times?
4.
4 times? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're romantic, basically, right?
That's it.
Okay. Well, I feel like oh, that's a great costume.
Yes.
So here's an important question. 4 different people? That is the correct answer, right? Have you ever met somebody who's married like 3 times and twice to the same person? That is the definition of an optimist, right? That's like somebody who gets food poisoning at a restaurant and just goes back the next day. You know, like what could possibly go wrong? Let's review the data. Let's take a look. Everything can go wrong. Usually, that's nice that you volunteered, because usually when I ask that question, the only thing that will happen is someone will very excitedly point to their friend sitting next to them, right? And that happened about a year ago. I was at a comedy club, and this woman, I asked that question, has anybody been married more than twice? And this woman acted like I just called her down on The Price is Right. She's like, woo, woo, pointing at her friend who did not have the same reaction, right? But everybody could see what's happening, so I had to address it. So I go to the very upset lady, and I go, ma'am, you've been married a few times? She's like, yes. I was like, how many? She's like, 5. And then just joking around, I go, well, are any of them still alive? And she said, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I did comedy for the Black Widow, everybody. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Are any yours alive? Are they?
3 of them are.
3 of them are alive. Okay, so that's good. You are kind of dressed like Sinister. I know it's Halloween, but you got how many of them did you boil up into a
How many
potion?
would I want to have boiled?
Yes. All right. Hold on. Let me pull up a chair. The show's taking on a whole new thing. Are you currently married now?
No.
Okay. All right. Do you think you'll ever get remarried again?
No.
No. You think 4 times you learned your lesson after 4 times?
I was his 7th.
What? You were their 7th?
I was his.
You were his 7th. Number 4, 7. You were. Man, I didn't know there's me math. Jesus. All right. Okay. You seem like you really want me to stop talking to you, so I'm going to... Okay, all right. She's like, yes, correct. All right, everybody. I guess it is too small of an... You guys all know each other, too. Usually in a comedy crowd, you guys all know each other's shit. I'll just ask them. They'll tell me. It's fine.
Clue you in later.
You clue me in later. No. What is your name?
Lydia.
Lydia. It's lovely to meet you. I'm sorry that I'm not picking on you. And I'm glad you came and sat up front, and I know you regret it because I said talk to you. Come on, guys, come up here so I can find out your personal business. No. What is your social security number? No. I am on my 2nd marriage, like I said. Not only that, I'm actually on my 2nd interracial marriage, which I found to be one more interracial marriage than a lot of people are okay with, you know? Some parts of the country 2 more. That part is Alabama, in case you're wondering. Yeah, they still don't like it down there, not at all. It is a very odd thing, though, being in an interracial relationship. Even if you have a supportive network of friends and family, sometimes they can be too supportive, right? Like, what? She's not white? We didn't even notice. We're good people. We don't see color. That joke's called Thanksgiving 1997, by the way. It was fascinating to me, though, to see how many of those people changed their tune when it brought around the second partner who wasn't white. Because a few of those turned into, dude, what the fuck? Is this on purpose? What are you doing? Are you trying to get out of the will? Is that idea? Maybe. Our family's poor. I don't really want to be in the will, right? Like, oh, a broken crock pot. Thank you, Grandma. I'll think about you all the way to Goodwill. Guys, my grandma's remains are not in the crock pot. Relax, okay? She was cremated, but we didn't do it at home or anything. We're not that poor, for God's sake. Also, that would take forever, even on the highest setting. Are you kidding me? That's more of a backyard barbecue pit situation. Okay, you know you're out in country people when they like the grandma cremation pit. They're like, yeah, that's an effective method right there. I had noticed something very interesting when I was talking about, when I do that bit on stage now. I tour all over the country, and sometimes in kind of rednecky towns, and you kind of see them get uncomfortable when I talk about being in an interracial relationship. But I was just in Portland, and I was just in San Francisco after that. At both places, at least one of the shows, I would say I'm in an interracial relationship, and like a super woke white liberal would go, woo, which is almost weirder, right? Like, I didn't marry my wife for the movement, you know? It's just such an odd thing. It's either that or they're just like, yeah, get it, white boy. I mean, there's so many levels in where it's disturbing, yeah. This is not a bit, it's just something that happened. You guys are right. I need to work on this. What should we talk about? I was joking earlier about being 17. I'm actually 45 years old. I just had a birthday not too long ago. And I realized, though, that means statistically speaking, I'm middle-aged, right? If you look at the stats, that means I'm I hate that phrase. Middle-aged, that's another way of saying half-dead. Not fun. I wish instead I could say something cool and interesting, right? I wish I could say I'm in my middle ages. Because then it sounds like I might be fighting dragons instead of fighting erectile dysfunction. So I know there's only like 12 of you here, but I need to make sure everyone here knows that that's just a joke. Okay? Yeah. Dragons don't exist. Okay, moving on. I don't want to send you out here with any false information or anything, you know. I am doing really well in life right now. I'm celebrating 5 years sobriety. In 2 weeks will be my 5-year sobriety mark. Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's been a good thing for me. And I was a big drinker my whole life. I grew up outside of Louisville, Kentucky. And when you grow up outside of Louisville, bourbon is introduced to your diet very early, right? You start teething as a baby. They rub it on your gums and you're off, you know. Now you know the answer to all of life's pain, son. Just do that, right? And that was my thing for a long time, but it got the better of me, right? I couldn't control it anymore. What I was doing is I was using alcohol to kind of battle depression, and it just stopped working one day, just like that. And so what it started doing is it started making my depression worse and worse and worse. And one night it got so bad I was alone in a hotel room in the middle of Michigan, middle of the night with a bottle of bourbon, and I was way down in that well, and I knew I was in trouble. So thank God I reached out for help. I called a suicide hotline, but I misdialed, and I got an all-night pizza place. Same result. Yeah, pepperoni pizza saved my life, you guys. Some people get hangry. I was just hungricidal, I guess, is what was going on. You guys know, I feel like the pun softens the suicide part a little bit. So I got sober, and that was the first step on my mental health journey, and then the next thing was to address my depression head on, so I got into therapy. And I'm in what's called sliding scale therapy. It's pay what you want to make it more affordable for working class people. But that also lets you know how Midwestern I am, right? I'm interested in mental health, but only if it's on sale. You know? Like, yes, I'd love to be a complete healthy human being again, but let's see if we can get that price point down a little bit, you know. My therapist is a very attractive, very stylish, confident, intelligent woman. So I have not told her anything. I'm like, yeah. I'm actually here to resolve some stuff from high school, not recreate it. You know, like most of our sessions are just me going, so what cool bands are you into? Me too. I love them. They're the best. Nah, we're doing good. This is an interesting thing that I'm doing right now. You guys are a very fun, interesting crowd. But yeah, it's good. I'm trying to think of what to talk about. Because obviously you guys are very uncomfortable with the dark shit. Do I know any knock-knock jokes? No.
Positive humor.
Positive humor? I feel like I'm pretty positive, isn't I? I feel like it's being a pretty positive guy. I have some newer stuff that I want to talk about. I am going to look at my notes real quick. I apologize. It's very unprofessional. I know you guys paid a huge ticket price to be here tonight.
The Yurt is super professional.
Yeah. Talk about Halloween. Oh, I did want to talk about this. I have had a pretty good thing in comedy recently. My comedy career has been going pretty well. Last year I got to do something for the first time, which was to perform overseas. I got to perform internationally. I was in Hong Kong, China for 2 weeks doing shows. It was amazing. It was fantastic. But I did say something I did not care for over there. And I was like 3 or 4 of the young male comedians in the Southeast Asian comedy scene, all more or less had the exact same joke. The joke would be about bringing a woman home from the bar at the end of the night, only to discover that it was a ladyboy from Thailand. And they're very angry about this, very furious. And I don't get that reaction. I understand being surprised, but why are you angry, you know? Because look, if I order onion rings, and there happens to be a French fry in there, I ain't mad at it, right? Look, it's 2018. We all know side dishes are a construct. Get on board, right? Onion ring, French fry, jalapeno pepper, it's a spectrum, baby, you know? I know that is a little bit of a weird joke to reveal where I fall on the Kinsey scale. I get that, right? But I am from the Midwest, so carbs are a part of every aspect of my identity. Like, I might not be full-on bisexual, but I'm certainly fry-sexual. What's up, guys? Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Please don't ever post this online. It's like, comedian struggles in Yurt for 30 minutes. 1 million views! I did get in trouble.
They're not drunk enough.
They're not drunk enough. No, they're just you're too good a people. There needs to be a little bit of evil in you to enjoy comedy. You need to tap into that. No, I will talk about this. I have gotten in my own head about getting older. I'm feeling pretty good about being 45, but I do live in a college town, right? There's an emphasis on youth, and that really gets to you. You know, you think about it quite a bit. And it's made me more reflective and looking back on how I grew up. And I realized something when I was doing that. I was kind of like looking back on my life and trying to figure some stuff out. And that is that the fact that I had to figure out sex on my own. I was raised by a single mom, working 3 jobs, keep me and my brother alive. She didn't have time to give us the talk. She was a good Catholic woman. I felt she was like probably a little uncomfortable with it too. We went to a very small school outside of Louisville proper, so they didn't have sexual education in the school system. And the internet didn't exist. I'm the last generation who grew up without the internet. Like kids today, the minute they get interested in sex, can find out way too much about sex. You guys are all my age or older. You guys remember this or not? The Encyclopedia Britannica was not much help, right? Like half the time that page was already missing from the library copy, right? So I had to figure out sex on my own. What?
My parents had it at home.
Your parents had the encyclopedia, so that's how you did it. Sex. Yeah, it doesn't help much, though, does it, right? I had to figure out sex on my own. The way I did that was from 2 sources of information. The first one was from R-rated movies in the 80s. My buddy Billy, his family had Showtime. So I spent the night at Billy's house quite a bit, right? His parents would fall asleep. We'd sneak back out. We'd turn Showtime on. We'd have the sound barely on. We'd sit about this close to the screen, right? We'd watch all these softcore movies late at night on Showtime. But in the 80s, all those softcore movies, the sex scene was always missionary position. So as a kid, trying to figure it out, I'm like, that's how you do it. One person lays on the other person, they're face to face. That's how sex works. The other thing I had to go off of was the physical evidence at hand. That was whenever I became aroused, my penis would stick out from my body at a 90-degree angle. So that, plus a missionary position, I deduced that the vagina, instead of being the wonderful, beautiful vertical orifice that we all know and love, right, horizontal on a lady, like a few inches below her belly button maybe, single car garage situation, everybody on board, right? Had to be, right, missionary position, 90-degree angle, it all checks out, right? Now skip forward to my first sexual experience a few years later when I'm 15 years old, and it happened in a manner probably similar to at least a few of you here. It was at yearbook camp, right guys? You remember yearbook camp where all the cool kids went, you know? I hit it off with a girl from another high school, and every day after photo editing class, we'd sneak off, we'd make out. And every night making out's progressive. Get a little hotter, a little heavier. By the 3rd night, a lot of over-the-clothes action, a lot of denim abrasions being acquired. All of a sudden, she reaches down, unbuttons, unzips her jeans, green flag. So I reach my hand down to where I think her vagina is supposed to be. Nope. Undeterred, I think, well, maybe I'm just off center, so I start poking left and the right, trying to find it. Kind of like a doctor in the lower abdomen area, right? Like any soreness, any tenderness. Anything at all, right? After about 8 seconds of that nonsense, she takes my hand and guides it down to where it should go. At which point I immediately think, oh my God, what's wrong with her? Why is it down here? Was she in an accident? I told you I didn't have any sexual education, guys. This is how dumb I was, right? Was she in an accident? What's going on? Now I'm thinking that and freaking out, but externally I'm playing it cool because I'm 15 years old, I'm pumped full of hormones, and this is my first vagina. To be honest, I didn't care where it was, right? My attitude was much more along the lines of, thank you so much for inviting me, you have a lovely home, thank you so much. I got through the night pretty clumsily, but I did it, and I've learned a lot in the 30 years since. You know, I've logged some miles, I've mapped the train a little bit. But there's still stuff about the vagina I do not understand, which I'll freely admit as a 45-year-old man. For example, does anybody here know the old-timey phrase, the little man in the boat? Okay, a few of you. It's more commonly used in the 50s and 60s. And for those of you who don't know, it's a very quaint way of talking about the clitoris. That's how you found the clitoris. You look for the little man in the boat. Here's a question. Why is it a man? Is that how deeply ingrained the patriarchy is in our society? That the only way...
answer,
Yes.
though,
Yeah, what?
because it is a woman's equivalent of a penis.
That's true, that's true. But it's still part of the woman. It could still just be the woman in the boat, you know? The little woman in the boat.
Yeah.
I think it's just because that's how deeply ingrained the patriarchy is, right?
Yeah.
The only way you can get a guy interested in pleasuring his lady is tell him there's another dude down there and needs a high five, right? I cannot believe that even as misogynistic as our society was back then when the phrase was more commonly used, it's still pretty bad. We made a few steps in the right direction. But even back then, I cannot believe someone thought it was a good idea to get part of the female anatomy a masculine identifier. Because that does not exist the other way, right? All the nicknames for the penis are extremely masculine. Rod, Dick, Peter, those are literally men's names. I do believe in gender equality, though, and I believe it starts in small ways. And that's why from now on, I'm going to refer to the penis as the queen upon a wrinkly throne. Right? The lady of the beanbags for more casual situations. I should have been working dirtier. That's what I should have been doing this whole time.
Yeah, we got 6.
We do have a lot of problems in America right now. And a lot of it's come to the forefront because of Trump, but we've had a lot of issues in America. I think one of the worst things we have in American culture is we just have this very poisonous misogyny and poisonous masculinity, right, that just runs through American culture. I'll give you an example. I joined the gym recently trying to get in shape and trying to work out a little bit, and I told a friend of mine, I was like, I think I'm going to start taking some yoga classes, working my flexibility, and they go, oh, you should sign up for Broga, which is a thing that exists, Broga. Someone thought yoga was too girly, so they invented Broga. I didn't sign up for it, but I'm assuming it's kind of like hot yoga, but they just blast you with Axe body spray the whole time, you know? First position, downward facing douchebag, you know? Second position, pop collar salutation, something like that. I'll give you probably a better example. I was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina a couple years ago doing shows, and I was leaving the comedy club and going to get something to eat, and I'm scanning through the radio station trying to find something to listen to, and I hear Led Zeppelin, and I love Led Zeppelin. I'm a white man in his 40s from the Midwest. I'm legally required to love Led Zeppelin, right? Good times, bad times, cranked it up. The song ended and went to the station break, which is usually something like Hot 97, Eagle 103, something like that. Song ends, and this is what happens. Man Up Radio! You're listening to Winston-Salem's Man Up Station! Man up, everybody! Did I drive my car back in time 30 years onto the set of The Man Show on Comedy Central? What is happening? And I became obsessed with that station. I listened to it all weekend long, and everything on the station was that cartoonish, one-dimensional idea of what it is to be a man. Even the commercials. They only had commercials for two things. An auto parts store and a strip club. That was it. Because as men, that's all you need is spark plugs and titties, right? I'm like, actually, it's April. Do you have an H&R Block in your town? I need one, you know? I decided if I ever stop doing big sold-out comedy shows like this on the road, I'm going to retire to Winston-Salem and get a job at that station so I can subvert it from the inside, right? Man Up Radio, listen to Manly Man Matt and the Manly Man Mornings. We just heard a classic from Pink Floyd's The Wall, the song Mother, which of course is about how a domineering maternal figure can really mess you up. Man up, everybody. That was the second half of our parental double shot. Before that was Stained with It's Been a While, a song about singer Aaron Lewis's unresolved feelings for his absentee father. Man up, I guess, if you can, everybody. We're going to pay the bills with a few commercials and come back with the King's classic Lola. A song about how a man finds true love by learning to love a transgender woman. Man up, America. That joke doesn't get a laugh at the end as much. It makes a point, and I'm going to tell that joke every day as long as Mike Pence is still alive, so hopefully not that much longer, you guys. Or if you're a real witch, if you could voodoo hex Mike Pence, that'd be great. I'll leave you guys with this. Thank you so much for coming. I know this is very unconventional. You guys, we're going to have music afterwards, which is kind of more your guys' thing. I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. Give Chris a big round of applause. What a great human being and community organizer he is.
And Jerry.
And Jerry.
Yay! Jerry.
Oh, I can't. I see the lights. The spotlights are in. Thank you, Jerry, for hosting all this. Hopefully this has been okay.
It's been good.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to leave you. The last story I'm going to tell you, it is going to be a little heavy up front, but it is going to be funny at the end. You guys just have to go with me, okay? I feel like I've got you warmed up enough. We can go on an emotional story now, right? We're good? Okay. One of the main things that we're working on in my therapy right now, my therapist is a very attractive woman. We got past that after a couple of sessions, right? She's great. And one of the things that we're working on is my relationship with my father. I didn't really have much of one, right? My dad was a biker, hellraiser, fighter kind of dude. Like I had a lot of uncles who wore colors that went away for a few years at a time, right? So my mom realized that that was not a good place to raise me and my brother, so she took us one night in the middle of the night, and then I didn't see my dad for 20 years, not until I tracked him down as an adult. When I finally did track down my dad, he had become this ultra-conservative, right-wing religious nutbag, which was a bummer, right? I thought it was fine and cool, Dad, you know? We're going to patch shit up, get matching Harleys, go to Sturgis together, you know? Yeah, he's going to finally teach me how to throw a perfect spiral beer bottle at a cop's head. You know, cool dad shit, right? But he was not that guy. When I say he was ultra-conservative, I mean, he once told me he didn't watch Fox News because he found it to be a little too liberal. Yeah. So he got his news from weird newsletters and websites. So we would visit. You guys have seen me talk for 30 minutes now. You know that we probably did not get along very well, and we did not. So we had 3 or 4 very contentious visits, and I just started to think, man, this was a mistake. I shouldn't have found this guy. It's not good for him. It's not good for me. And then he got sick. He got Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And then, you know, I don't know if it's hardwired genetically or whatever, but like the guilt kicked in. I was like, I gotta keep visiting. I gotta keep showing up, right? The first thing ALS does is it takes your voice. You can't talk. So the way we visited, I would show up and try to keep the mood light, tell him stories about what I've been up to. He would write on this pad of paper, and that's how we visited, right? And to be honest, it actually improved our relationship a little bit. We'd throw on old movies, you know. We try to like just hang out. So he's getting sicker and sicker. I get to see him about every 3 months because of where he lives. And he's getting sicker and sicker. We're still visiting. I'm still trying to keep the mood light. I don't get to see him for about 6 months because of my work schedule. And when I finally go to see him again, he's down to like 85 pounds. He's just like skin and bones. Like he can't even close his mouth. His mouth just hangs open, right? It's very heartbreaking. Even with our complicated relationship, it's very hard, you know. But I'm doing my best trying to keep the mood light. I'm like, Dad, let's throw on Ernest Goes to Camp. Remember how much we loved that one as a kid? Let's put on a classic, right? And he's trying to write something on this pad of paper, but he's so weak now he can barely write. I'm like, Dad, don't worry about it. I'll just tell you more stories about what I've been up to. But he's very adamant. He really wants to write something. And it's taken him forever just to write a couple of words. So while he's writing it, it occurs to me like, he's going to finally tell me that he loves me. He's going to finally tell me that he's proud of me, you know? He gets done, he puts the pencil down, he's so weak he can't even tear the piece of paper off. So I reach over and I tear off the piece of paper that my dad had written this message on, and I read it, and what my dad had wrote was, fags caused 9/11. Just a little bit of wisdom he wanted this baby boy to take into the world, right? Not too long after that, he died. Those are my father's final words to me. Now, when this had happened, I'd not started doing stand-up comedy yet, but I knew that shit was funny. Sad and fucked up, but funny. So I used to keep that piece of paper with me in my wallet. But then it occurred to me, what if I get in a car wreck, right? Like the EMTs are on the scene, like, I think he's still alive. Seems like, what the fuck? No, I'm sorry, he's dead. My bad. No, my knee's on his throat, but he was already dead. Don't worry about it, right? So now that piece of paper is in a desk drawer at home with a second piece of paper explaining it stapled to it 3 times. And just so you guys know, my best friend Jonas is gay, and I asked him, and he said they did not do it. Just so you guys know, my dad was incorrect. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been a very cool, unique experience. Delicious food, interesting people to talk to and hang out with. Lydia, I'm sorry I give you a hard time. It's okay. You're unflappable, man. You're just
Not
okay.
enough to drink.
Okay. Oh, I see. You're just kind of chilled out. All right, I got you. All right. I do have a brand new album that just came out actually last weekend. It's called Bloodmouth, if you guys remember that joke from the farmer's market. And my CDs are pay what you want. I grew up in punk rock. I still believe in that. So if you got $10, cool. If you want to get a couple bucks, that's fine. Now you're going to throw down a hundo, look big in front of all your friends. I'm going to stop you, player, right? You know, I know how you roll with the White House and everything. But yeah, just, and I'm looking forward to listening to you guys play music and hang out with the rest of the night. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.